Hey, I remembered long before I started doing podcasts, I did commentary videos talking about my past Let's Plays. Can I talk about a single subject that isn't professional wrestling? I guess we'll see. Especially for something as long overdue and also a little bit infamous in my opinion as this got due to my very amateur voice acting. So, yeah, 35 minutes? Well, it's not the 37, 38 that Mint side was. And I will be covering both of those Rues as well as Mints. I've had plenty of practice since I first downloaded this video almost a year from now, and I'm trying to, like, every time I would try and come up with stuff to write down so I could actually, like, fit the entire segment. And since this commentary will cover everything in my Let's Play, I suggest if you haven't seen those videos first, please do so now. Or at least have played the entire game fully yourselves before you listen to this. Because I'm going to go over characters you haven't seen yet, so a bit of a spoiler warning. Yeah, you might have seen at the very beginning, I don't use vibration for my games. That was fun for a while. Mostly due to the Nintendo 64's Rumble Pack for certain games. I got mine along with the very first game that it used because they packaged both together for that reason. It's one of my favorite games of all time and a game I love to death and love to quote and reference the fuck out of, Star Fox 64! The whole, never give up, trust your instincts. One of many running gags in this series. Both sides. That game did it right in my eyes, but nostalgia is not always kind. I don't care for it as much anymore. When I first had my PlayStation 1, I would always have that on. I think that's what messed up my old PlayStation 2 controller, because I have the one I'm using right now, and the right button doesn't work anymore. But I would always have that on, and halfway, I think, through the PlayStation 2 era, I think the novelty wore off, and I just stopped using it. I don't even remember the last time I kept controller vibration on for a game, if that even exists anymore. So yeah, it's been about 15 years since this game first came out, so happy 15th Threads of Fate /Mint/Rue? No, I don't figure Rue in for wanting top billing. He's just that weirdly dressed main character most games back then had. Probably Square's way of trying to make each character stand out in their own unique way. Like, oh, it's that color, or it's that style of clothing, or nowadays it's just belts. And just all black, like, wow. Like a Noctis looks so very bland. It's like all black on black. Put some face paint on him and call him the Crow. Why the fuck not? But yeah, like you see his clothes, like he's got like this weird hat. It stands out. You remember right away who that character is. Oh, I love that. I'm sorry. I gotta stop. Rue's a lot more serious at times. I like to think my commentary, like just me voicing him, lightened him up a bit since it's just my normal speaking voice for Rue anyway. The guy has his doubtful moments, but he never felt to me in the, it's dismissive to say it, but emo way. I know how dismissive that sounds. Like a certain other Square Enix protagonists, like in this PlayStation 1 era. Like it was progressive, like he's got like a reason, like he doesn't start out like a complete and total dick like Squall or a whining entitled bitch like Tidus that I need food. Is he the same voice actor for the Ratchet & Clank series? Big fan of that series. I haven't played much of the newer PlayStation 3 ones yet. I gotta get on that. There's a lot of games I gotta get on. So the first time I played this game, it won a vote, and a friend of mine was getting married, an East Like Horse, for those who don't know. He gave me the tools and specs I needed to successfully stream on Twitch TV using XSplit, back when I used to do that every weekend. Since he was getting married, I did the voting process and based it off of what to get your bride, or just what to get for your wedding in general, I think. I think it's for the bride. The four items, the something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Something old, which was X-Men Legends 2, because my first LP ever was the prequel to that. A lot of mileage out of that KZX screen, by the way. This game was the something new. Something borrowed was Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, because KZ had already done an LP of that, speaking of which. And Kana Sky streamed it a bunch before, too. Some people more than likely to know what that was about. And finally, the something blue was just the because the main character of Brave Fencer Musashi had blue hair. You gotta have blue hair. I ruined that. I streamed Roses last year after going through Forbidden Memories for the PlayStation 1, and Legends 2 was for my 1-year anniversary of Let's Plays in general. I keep forgetting to actually sit down and actually start doing Brave Fencer Musashi just because other games will call to my attention first. Sometimes I know what to play next, and sometimes it takes me till like near the end of my current LP to be like, oh, I haven't played this in a while. Of course, since my cancellation of Digital Card Battle, it's more like, I haven't played this in a while. Let me play it for a while and kind of get a feeling on how to approach. Speaking of KZ, he's seen the parts I had of Mint's voice on my second-year compilation, and KZ was like, you know, man, I'd hate to see you try this for a Phoenix Wright game. Interestingly enough, I was actually thinking of that as kind of a callback from this, because some people remember me as far back as that Mystery Skype Theater video I was in. It was actually my first time talking to Kana Sky, KZX, and Phantom Savage in a Skype call. It was my second Skype call overall, ever. For most, I feel like some of you might remember me from my first, I don't want to say big breakout moment, but a lot of people knew what I was about. Oh, stand by for a second, KZX game. I'm sorry, I love that. But yeah, most people, I'm hoping, I don't want to say it's a breakout moment, but the Mighty Bird, and the Claws Wicked Button! Like that, like I think I got a lot of fans with that. It ended up being the voice I'd used for Fancy Mel. She never did mention any buttons, so I couldn't bring it up again. I guess I just forgot to make something up in that regard. To like just throw it in. I don't know. FYI, this game was the winner with 12 votes, and that's 3 times the votes of Brave Fencer Musashi and X-Men Legends 2, 6 times the votes of Duelist of the Roses. Again, that was a lot of people had already seen that, so that's probably why that didn't get a lot of votes. And I assume a lot of the people voting were either real familiar with this game or wanted to see me play it, or they haven't seen it and was like, oh, what's this about? This looks interesting. Most people in my circle of friends that also LP did not have videos on this game. In my first year, especially, I don't care as much now, but just in my first year, I was really trying to find Let's Plays no one in my circle had done before. Because a lot of my fans are fans of are fans through Sky, through KZX, through Phantom Savage. So I'm like, okay. So I knew what they LP'd, and I'm like, okay, I need to. What's gonna help me stand out? What's gonna make this feel more like my LP of a game, and not just me jumping on someone else's bandwagon? Although, to be fair, Let's Playing in general is kind of on a bandwagon. I've actually never really thought about it. It's like way later. Like, I mean, like way later. Like back then, it used to be like, must have been quite the hassle. because of course back before your fancy recording softwares and stuff like that, you just had like I don't know if they existed back then, but I just remember like just looking back through all Retsuprey archives, like unregistered Hypercam 2. Videos can only be like 15 minutes long, and before that, like early YouTube was like, it was just 10 minutes, unless I guess you were like partnered or something like that, or like joined early, and then everyone just started getting like, you can upload as long as you want, as long as your account's in good standing. Otherwise, you get bumped down to that 15-minute time limit. Which, even though I updated my Camtasia, it still says like, this video exceeds the 15-minute thing, the upload may fail. I'm like, no, it won't. It may, it won't. So I always get nervous when it comes up. I'm like, damn it. But yeah, I've been LPing now for 2.5 years as of this video. And I've been loving it. For the exception of the LP I had to cancel, which I felt really, really bad about. I felt like, oh, I'm doing you guys a disservice. Like, oh, I'm canceling this LP. I'm sorry. But I knew, I'm like, okay, I'll make it up to him by playing stuff I can go through from start to finish and not get hung up all the time, because that was the only thing stopping me from completing that game. By the way, you can get this game now on PSN for the usual Square Enix asking price of $10. Yeah, it's when they always, like, their RPGs are always a little more extra. Usually they're like $5, $6. You can find PlayStation 1 classics like $4 or $5. There's like always they're like $9.99. I'm like, ugh. And this was one of those PlayStation 1 Squaresoft classics that didn't have the words Final Fantasy attached to it. And it was also before they merged with Enix, who I have very fond Super Nintendo memories of: Illusion of Gaia, Eva the Search for Eden, ActRaiser, and of course their big franchise, Dragon Quest, which I have the PlayStation 2 Dragon Quest 8 disc of. So. And you saw those dudes earlier while on the boat coming into this town, Blood and Smokey. They just seemed like typical vagrant dudes. Like Blood got that weird Charles Bronson accent, like, yeah. It's like a very, Blood's going to Emmett's fix-it shop to fix Emmett. And Smokey, that stereotypical moot kind of cadence mixed with me trying to see if I could do John Laurinaitis. And it just ended up Brooklyn accent, and thinking back on it, just now to me it sounds like the one stuttering principal from Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead, you little bastards, you're both expelled. I'm John Laurinaitis. People power. I so don't have that. Elena, basic female, change my pitch voice just to make my voice all higher and dainty. Like, not as high as, say, the Purple Pearls or Prima Doll. I really did start hearing in my own head as I was doing Prima Doll, the Kimlin Tran's voice for Nanako in the Hi, I'm Daisy Persona 4 dub. Like, yay, we're going shopping! Shame I never got to use my favorite line, which is, Daddy, I want to play! I guess I couldn't do it justice. I forget the mom's name, like the mom character who had a sword in Mint. I forgot all about that. I was like, wow. She was just like, oh, lower pitch. She didn't have much lines, and she ended up having more for Mint's side. The whole family got more with Mint than they did with Rue, honestly. Gameplay-wise, Rue to me, stronger early game. Like, you saw me just blow past these dudes. Like, bam, one hit, and it's down. I think I killed that in one hit. Oh, no, okay. Well, that's a little stronger, but eventually I would just drop it in one hit. Like, I think Mint had to do like 2 or 3 hits or just avoid them altogether. But yeah, he's like straight up just very strong early game, and he just kept it going constantly as I grinded him up. Mint took a bit more finesse at first, till she could match Rue, and then in late game, in a way, surpass him. And she was way more exciting to play later on. Like, as when I was younger, I was just like, magic, and she's not as strong. Let me just hit things, and I'm like, okay. I like that I came back to this game as how I am now and later in life, and I'm like, okay, I can appreciate it a bit more now. I'm always looking back at things, so I'm like, okay. So it was kind of cool to come back and play this again. But yeah, Mint, way more exciting to play, not just story-wise either, just because her magic gives her more options for enemies and bosses. It really fleshed out those boss battles in that regard, as opposed to Rue, who, even though he can transform, I've never had to do that for bosses. Everything was just like, oh, break out your little axe/pizza cutter thing that I had. It looks like a just oversized pizza cutter. If we get a close shot at, that's another way protagonists would stand out. Like, not just their clothing, but their weapons as well, like the Buster Sword, Keyblade, stuff like that. Like, you have like you can make them fancy, but their weapons too. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But back to voices. Elena's dad, Klaus, later might become my personal favorite voice. Like, if I had to choose one as like, oh, which one's your personal favorite, it would be Klaus. He had a bit of Sean Connery at first. You know, it's just straight up that, but it didn't quite see it that way. Like, he was more like, I tried to go for like a laid back thing, and then eventually he kept, like, he had the accent, but then eventually, like, I dropped the accent and it just started sounding like this. I had no idea where I started freestyling at one episode. Maybe I just started like, see, that voice is so fun. I just had this weird bout of randomness when I think in one of Rue's episode you need to go to Klaus's house, and that's random. I was like, whose house? Klaus's house. What? I've always wanted to bring that voice back and do some freestyle raps, like just, I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady. All you other Slim Shadys are merely imitating. Like, just the sweetest, most non-threatening voice I have for, like, personal raps. Like, Like, you know how, like, rappers are, like, if I just start doing, like, DMX, like, ha, ha, like, oh, X gonna give it to you. Just the loudest, most stuff, and it, just him, like, with even, like, yelling with him, it's not yelling, it's like, I'm projecting, you know, he's just saying what is, but it's just a lot louder now, how? What, Nathan Lane there for But the rapping thing with him just blossomed. It showed up again in Mint's story, because I didn't think I was done with that concept yet, but that's just one of the magic, that's the magic of live commentary. You're not sure what you're going to get, and I believe it's become some of my funnier moments these past 2 years in change of LPing and just making videos in general, and I thank KZ for that, because I'll always remember that first time, like, when the topic of me doing videos and Let's Plays came up. I was like, I'm not that comfortable. Like, I wasn't very comfortable with myself at first. Like maybe I should just do post commentary on my videos. But he's like, no, it's too good. You got to do it live. I convinced him, like, just because again I was playing Super Mario Crossover in the background. I was just going, and this LP really showcased that. That's where the whole running gag of Mint just going fuck sentences. It started showing up in just other LPs outside of this too. Like, that just became my main thing. Like, fuck sentences. Like, I'll just blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll money for show. I talk a mile a minute, and that's just I get tongue tied every time that happens. I just be like, fuck sentences. Or just fuck sentences. You just never know what's gonna stick, and it's kind of exhilarating to find that. And that's why, even though they take a long ass time to put together, especially that second year one of those compilation videos, my best of, like, just it's way more running gags in the second one. Of course, I feel like a good third of that hour-long second year video belongs to just Mint side of this Let's Play. I am shuddering equal parts despair and excitement at what the hell I'm gonna put together for year 3. Mostly because this year I did the one-player podcast. Like, I thought of making that like a separate thing, but maybe I'll just do the whole thing together. And like, I don't know. Maybe if it takes too long, maybe I will split them up. Like, this is LP, this is podcast. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that podcast alone is just gonna make my videos super long, or just watching them, or at least bits and clips of things. Mint, her voice, of course, inspired by Teen Girl Squad, which came up after I failed to do the spectacularly the Ego Raptors roll impression. That video still exists. Just Teen Roll Squad. Like, I was streaming Mega Man 3, and I was just going through like Mega Man, that's it. And it's just like involved into that, and I guess I had like a weird throat thing or something like that. I was like, yeah, I do. Watch your back. And I was like, yeah. That took a lot out of me on Mint's playthrough when she became the focus. I was really questioning if I could keep going forward just using that voice as often as I did. I was on Twitter like, can I keep doing this? Am I gonna this? So this was actually gonna be like the first time I would have canceled an LP, but no, I got like people like, don't give up, like Panda Brady on Twitter especially was like, don't give up. So just at least getting that and looking at the videos, like, okay, they're liking it. I'm not getting dislikes on it, so I must be doing something right. So I'm like, okay, just seeing that from you guys. And I'm always very thankful to have that. So, once again, I can't thank you guys enough for that. Especially Panda Brady on Twitter, who just really, and a lot of you just really pepped me up. I'm like, alright, it gave me that confidence to be like, okay, rest up, suck down holes like it's candy until it completely clears. Because that's how I usually do, like, address sore throats and whatever. Like, I'll just take, like, and I'll do it till it's gone. And that stuff works wonders. The hulls, that big menthol stuff, the lemon with the menthol, it's fantastic. And then once you're 100%, or at least your voice will be, like, you know, because the faster you do this, the sooner you don't have to do that voice anymore, was what my mentality was. I'm like, okay, good. She's still a fun voice, but when she ran the show, like 90% of that voice, I was like, I started to lose my shit, and which made for some other funny off the cuff moments. Like, when I do these, I'll do like a test run. Like, when I do videos, I'll like test run it at first, and then after a while, like especially for these live commentary, I'm like, okay, like, I could say this part in this portion, like, okay, this and this is gonna be this video, And in this particular point, I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to... but it's also live, so you never know. Like, I'll have some ideas for, like, jokes or what to say when I record, but there's also live commentary, so you never know. Like, I think, like, a good example of that, like, in Mint's playthrough where I was fighting Wyleth, the dragon boss. His voice is just Dinobot, by the way. Like, the really grabby, like Scott McNeil's Dinobot voice. I say that because he used that voice for a couple of other things, too. Like, I remember Deborah in Dragon Ball Z W used that, like, vermin. And a lot of, like, internal growling and stuff like that. But yeah, like I mentioned, that whole, like, off-the-cuff moment, like, live commentary, because I went to jump kick him and do, like, the death blow, but he knocked me out of it, so I thought, like, oh, I didn't get him. But no, his health bar disappeared and he dropped. I'm like, oh, shit, I did get him. So I was like, okay. You know, that's become a running gag in my LPs, too. Like, oh, never seen that before, and I just lose my shit. I think I actually do address that in one of my one-shots. I think it was Final Fight where I'm just like, every time something completely befuddles me and I don't know what to say, and you just gotta laugh at it. And it's what kept me going for a couple of these things. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Sorry. The whole pronunciation of, like, it came up earlier, I think it comes up a little later on when they start saying the atelier. There's another way to saying atelier. I was focused on how to say that word, so I looked it up, and there was, like, the atelier is just the one way to say it, and then there's atelier. But I can't say atelier without sounding like a complete asshole, so I just kept it atelier. I can't even say it now. I keep atelier. It was just easier to say. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick with that. I know that name got itself like an entire series of games, and I haven't played any of them. I've only seen like parts of maybe one of the games. It seemed like a lot of scouring areas to pick up items to turn into other items for the very brief things I saw of the just one video on YouTube. But there's a 3-in-1 disc coming out tomorrow, so I'll check it out. You never know. I'll take a look and see if it sounds like something I can make an LP out of. I'm always looking for new and interesting RPGs to LP, just because there's like a lot to cover and everything, and I feel like they warrant me going that 20, 30 minutes videos. Maybe even 40 at times. But yeah, they just get a real chance, like, RPGs that haven't gotten a chance to be shown off before that I can do, because that is my genre. And it's just become my genre of choice. Like, I'll do other games, other genres from time to time, but ever since Digital Card Battle cancellation, I looked over my library of PlayStation 2 and PlayStation in general, like 1, 2, 3, because I have a little bit of PlayStation 1, but mostly it's like this, just a wall of 2, and I have like this, and I'm still getting 3, of course, and then I'm gonna get 4 eventually, because there's a lot of coming out for that I'm interested in. Although I don't know don't know if that'll work on Hapaga or not. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm always looking up LPs that I could do in the future. And just about every title I listed is an RPG, so like I think like, or at least has RPG elements in it. Like it's either one or the other, so I'm like, well, I'm kind of beat on that, I guess. The big bad 4 villains of this game, Dollmaster, which is a very laid-back Betty from Kung Pao voice, but I added more gruffness to it later to make him sound a little more evil. Still very upper nasal kind of voice, like, yeah. Trapmaster, aka Porcupine Head, as Mint called him, looked like your stereotypical punker. Got a very lazy, cool bar, like this. Just very less guttural, and he's a lot of fun to voice too. Psycho Master seemed very formal, so he got that soft, formal accent like my idea for Edgeworth. If I would decide to just end it all and have me doing every single voice in that game and just ruin myself, like you'd come, like, hey, I'm like on Twitter, I'd just be like, hey guys, I'm gonna do Phoenix Wright, and I'm gonna be every single voice. And, well, I finished the LP, and you cut to a picture of just me laying on my bed or, like, the ground somewhere, and I'm, like, in the Yamcha pose after he gets blown up by the Cybermen, just Photoshop fucking... If I knew how to Photoshop, I would just put, like, little Cybermen pieces all around my body. It's amazing what you can do with that. I want to... It seems like a lot to learn, though. Hope I can do stupid shit like that someday, because I have a little crazy ideas for that. Maybe that'll become like my year 4 thing. I start doing like crazy Photoshop shit. Mode Master was just my female voice, and she got that very like Ojo-sama, that kind of going for her. She was kind of fancy too. It was just a rehash of my voice for Claire, who we didn't see all that much, so she just became like that, and which is interesting because I remember as a teenager when I first started playing this, I at first thought that Claire was Mode Master, like they revived Claire and made her into Mode Master, or either that or she was faking her death and was Mode Master all along, like she was killed for reprogramming because she forgot her mission and became a failed doll. You know, I realize now it would have made the story make way less sense, just pure shock value and nothing more. It would also ultimately give Rue nothing to fight for anymore, because his whole story is a complete waste, because his whole thing is just wanting to bring Claire back. Like, he doesn't care about himself, and I was hoping we get to see more of that. Like, he's like his arm's all fucked up, like he's singed from like the dragon battle. I'm like, I gotta save Claire, I can't give up now. And he's like, oh, you gotta rest or something like that. But maybe because of his physiology and that he's a doll, he can power through that shit, maybe? Like he's a little bit stronger, so. Meanwhile, you know, like I said, Rue's all the whole, I'm gonna bring Claire back, and Mint's like, "What domination, bitches?" Which stemmed from one of my favorite lines in Rue's playthrough, and when she's knocked out by that damn boulder chase event that I kept getting tripped up by. Rue goes, as Rue, I go to check on Mint, and she's like, "Yeah, the word is man, bitches." I don't think I cursed as much with her before. Like, I usually, like, she got quite the mouth on her, man. Like, plus I call back humor with her side as well. I was able to bring back the, "What did you say, motherfucker?" I think I even used the C word in her playthrough, which I never use as a curse personally. You people who have watched since the beginning know I'm all the, like, fucking shit all the time. But I do have a line I don't cross. I crossed it with actually saying the C word. Which ended up another callback, because as Mint during Rue's playthrough, I actually did say, C word? I don't want to say that, I'm sorry. But in Mint's, I let loose and was like, yeah, that's right, I said it, what? I was holding back for either the sake of Rue or just the first time LPing this, and kind of my first year, like I was still trying to come out of my shell a little bit more, like I was still kind of unsure of things. By Mint's playthrough, speak of the devil and she shall appear. By Mint's playthrough, shell completely non-fucking existent. No more holding back. It's, what did TV tropes call it? Refuge in Audacity. I do all my recordings using Audacity, so I guess I do take refuge. But tish. No? Not feeling that one? Guess I'll stick with Speaking of that, I want to clear the air on that, because I remember getting an ask.fm question on where I got the idea to, I tried to remember, and I just remember what sounded the most like it, and it comes from the extremely stereotypical French chef in The Little Mermaid. Like, I mean, extremely stereotypical. Like, even at some point, he's like, hee hee hee, ho ho ho. The last thing you hear from the guy is him just creating a ruckus, and there's dishes everywhere. The headmaid's like, I better go see what he's up to, and she just runs off it, because one of the crab he's gonna try and serve up is Sebastian. He runs off and he's like, I missed one. Zut alors, I have to cook him. And I'm like, I will not let you escape. Wah! And he's just destroy the entire kitchen. There's just pots and pans and cook stuff everywhere, and she, you know, finally catches up with him down at the kitchen. She's like, what are you doing? And the chef's like, well, I'm sorry, madame. His little pencil-thin mustache has caught fire on one side, and he just reverts to snobby French stereotype and just puts out his stash fire like it ain't no thing. And the best shit-eating grin on his face, by the way, is just, Which I said the fairy godmother from the Guided Paradox stole from me. Like, I wish I had the original recording. I had to redo that one. Like, I pitched mine up like he was, and mine was, and she just straight up hit that same octave, but hers was more diaphragmy and dainty. Like hers started with an H sound. She was like, and mine's just all. So, setting the record straight, she didn't steal it. Okay, she just wanted to be fancy and end her sentence with it. I use it when I'm being stupidly funny. Like I'd say something stupid that's kind of funny, but it's usually for puns mostly because it's a weird it's a weird combination of that, and also a tiny bit goes out that scene in Lucky Star where Kagami says aloud, like, "Did any boys even try to hit on us today?" And kind of right on next to her picks up on it and just goes, her usual new face perks up, which is you hear that like faint in the background. It's either a sound effect or just Wendy Lee maybe faintly going So yeah, we all use our in different ways. Mine's a bullet point to a pun usually, because they're usually the very low point of funny in my opinion. They're easy to make. It's wordplay basically. It's kind of become my laugh track for myself, because of course when you let's play, usually it's just you, and if I make a pun or do something stupidly funny, and if I end it on that, like there's silence after, and it's like that. It's just dead silence. There's no reaction. There's no laugh track at the end. So whenever I make something I know is just stupidly funny, like I would normally get that like dead silence or just like a wow, really? I go and cut you off like, oh, there's the funny. Without that bullet point, it feels just empty to me. Like it's my laugh track basically. It's like oh, we made it funny. But yeah, without that laugh track, sometimes just it doesn't work. And I just remember like a really good example of that recently on YouTube. I forget the name of it, but it's a small 3-minute snippet of an episode of Big Bang Theory with no laugh track. Like there's no laugh there. It's just the show itself, and it's just a little depressing to watch actually. Oh man, Rod the Blade Star. Rod the Blade Star. Who, due to his theme music alone, best track in the game in my opinion. I just gave him that Latin stereotype voice, and it's not you, it's Ju. Yeah. I always wanted him to be playable even when I first played this long time ago. Like, I was like, oh, you would just use different weapons to get past certain areas, although now I'm looking at it like, that sounds a little more complicated to just work him in the main story like that, since he mostly just is a vagrant, and he just usually just hangs out by that open sea on the side a good portion of the game until you actually need his help. Not shown in this video, but also fun voices to do are Belle and Duke, who are really the Jesse and James of Threads of Fate, so I tried my best. My Jessie voice, and then Belle just later evolved into her own voice, and she still sounds fancy, but she's, oh! And then Duke was, oh, the James, and I've pretty much nailed it with him, and I knew I could at least do one of them perfectly. Belle gradually became her own thing, which just happens with me. Sometimes I won't know a voice or impression until I actually start to talk as that character, and it just evolves into something, and Belle was one of them. Maya, Mint's younger sibling, I had an idea her voice was just going to be this gravelly miss, like straight up Dr. Girlfriend from the Venture Brothers. Like, oh, the monarch, he's so handsome. My story for Rue for that voice was due to that family's reliance on magic, like the sisters. The gravelly voices was going to be a side effect due to the magic being as powerful as it was, and them to being like, because they look like really young too, and they're doing that stuff. I don't think that I got an age count on them, but I assume they're like just budding teenagers, like 13, 14 at that age. Maybe Rue's a little older, like maybe 15, 16. That's what I'm guessing. But yeah, in Rue's playthrough, like when she loses her magic, like I just went back to like, oh, she's a normal female voice now. But it was like, it's just the same voice over and over again. I can't really differentiate sometimes. So for Mint, I kept it. Like I kept it going on. So I'm like, all right, it's like, okay, it was a fun kind of headcanon, but now she's not funny anymore without that voice. Like, where's the funny? So especially for Mint's playthrough, like, because again, she feels more like a Disgaea character. Like I want to see her in that more. Like I really want to see these characters come back because I love this game so much. But yeah, I'm coming up on my time here. That was really, really hard. The reason this took so long just because I was like scripting things out. Like, okay, I need to fill 35 minutes of this with just me talking. So it, like over and over again, I was like going back and forth, and finally I was able to fix it after like almost a year later. Yeah, like my file said when I downloaded it, it was like 2014. I don't remember the exact date, but yeah. Oh, man. This was fun. I'll have to do more of these. I finally get a chance to get back on things. I want to start, and yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye.